What's up, guys? Eric Bray, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Tuesday, March 22nd. Not on the water today. Premature cancellation because it was supposed to storm all day. Folks canceled yesterday and it would have been a beautiful day to fish. But hey, is what it is. Got me a chance to stay home, pour some jigs, do some other things around the house, do a little work on the boat. So got some stuff caught up. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot this video. I've been out on the water pretty much every day since the last video. Mostly actually everything on Table Rock, nothing over on Taneycomo. Did fish the anglers in action over the weekend, talk about that a little bit. Been catching a few. It's been a little weird, it's been a little crazy. It's one day you catch them, the next day you don't. Weather's really, I mean, they're not all up yet, I guess is the biggest thing. You know, they haven't all moved up. They're starting to move up. You get a little bit of a front and it does push them down and slow them down a little bit. It's the best thing I can tell you. Lake level, we're at 913.7. We were down to 913.3, but this rain yesterday brought it up about a half a foot. So, you got a lot of water still coming in. Corey is still running a ton of water. We're still over a foot more, or more than a foot below normal pool for this time of year. I think they're a little worried about flooding, and they're still doing the deal on beaver, working on the dam and trying to keep that lake level down so it doesn't flood this year like it has the last 7 or 8 years. So all the lakes in the chain running a lot of water, trying to keep the water down close to normal as possible. Water temperature, I think we finally crossed over the Mendoza line where we are up over 50 degrees pretty much every day since, I guess last Wednesday or Thursday. The water's been 50 degrees plus every time I've launched. Hasn't gotten a whole lot higher. I think the warmest I've seen was about 54. And that was way up the James where the water had a lot of color in it. And it was on a sunny day. That was actually on Saturday. But for the most part, we're in that 51 to 53 degree range. But you know, it's starting to turn around. Things are changing. Fish are definitely starting to move up. Best way to stay on top of it, best way to know what's going on every day, join Table Rock Fishing Intel, get the daily reports, weekly reports, access to the maps, access to all the videos and everything that we're doing, access to the tournament reports like we had from Anglers in Action over the weekend. Check out TableRockFishingIntel.com and become a pro member and you get access to everything. But if you're coming down, going to fish the lower end of the lake, lower end's actually fishing pretty good. A lot of the guys who did well in the Anglers in Action over the weekend fished the lower end. Couple of different bites going on. As far as my guide trips, I'm catching a lot of fish on a swim bait, single swim bait. Mostly on points, main lake and secondary points. That seems like the fish are moving to the flatter points, but you still got to have some rock on it. Just the pure straight pea gravel hasn't been effective, and the wind really seems to help as well. But throwing a Kitech 2.8 on a 1/4 ounce head, that has been working well. Starting to catch them on a rock crawler down there as well. A lot of guys threw the rock crawler over the weekend, did really well with a rock crawler down there. A-rig bite still going on, but it feels like that bite is starting to wane a little bit. Not seeing as many guys throwing it, not seeing as many fish coming in on it, or as many quality fish coming in on it. And then stick bait bite. Guys are starting to really catch them on the Spromic stick down there as well. So a few bites are working on the lower end. You can certainly catch some fish down there on the lower end. Most of the fish seem to be gravitating towards points with the amount of current they're running and the way it seems to be pulling the shad out of the backs of the creeks. This runoff that's coming in right now, you can probably catch some in the backs of the creeks today, tomorrow, maybe even into Thursday, but I'm going to say by the weekend that runoff's probably pretty much going to be done and that runoff bite's going to be over. Going to mid-lake area, mid-lake bite has been good. I mean, the whole lake is starting to fish really well. The bite is, again, it's hit and miss one day or the other. Fished in the mid-lake yesterday. I know Rick was down there, Lysick and Brian Baddock. We were on the mid-lake area. It was not great. We struggled. I think we had 4 or 5 fish total. Did have a 5-pounder in the mix, but I know Rick had 8 or 9 fish, and I think Brian Baddock had 7 or 8 fish as well. So it's not been great one day, but you go the next day and you catch the heck out of them. Swim bait's working, Kitech 2.8. A-rig's working, but it's starting to wane. Jerk bait's working, mostly on the Spromic stick. A rock crawler's working if you get the right wind. Really not a whole lot of moss. The moss starts at about where the white and the James come together is where the moss starts. and then a jig bite. I caught a nice 5-pounder, 4.5, 5-pounder out of a brush pile yesterday on a jig. So there is definitely a jig bite down there on a Jewel Pro Spider jig. I caught that one on bass whacker, but Okeechobee blue or any of the other colors will work as well. Most of the fish, you know, they're 8 to 10 feet deep. Some of them out about 15 on a bright sunny day, but really these fish are moving up and they're getting ready to spawn. That big one I had yesterday was definitely full of eggs, so we put her back right away. Go up in the James. That is where we ran to fish the anglers in action. Had grand designs of going up and throwing a crankbait and catching the heck out of them on a crankbait and a jig. Didn't practice up there, hadn't been up there in about maybe a week, and ran all the way up above point 12, almost all the way to Cape Fair. And every stinking bank we hit had moss on it. So you get that rock crawler down there at about hit the bottom and it would just automatically muck up with moss. The moss was dying. This influx of water will probably hasten that death of the moss, but it was definitely mossy up the James and it really messed up our crankbait bite up there. Don't know what else to say. We wasted too much time. We didn't come out of the James till almost 1 o'clock. And then, you know, we caught 4 keepers in about an hour and a half and then had to go in. But all those fish came in the mid-lake on a swim bait and a stick bait and a rig. But that was our mistake. We shouldn't have stayed up there as soon as we started hitting moss, but we kept bouncing point to point to point, hoping to find a spot without moss. So the moss is a factor up there. At least it was over the weekend. Like I said, it did look like it was dying off, so there's a pretty good chance it will be gone soon. If I were going to go up there, I would still have a crankbait tied on, a rock crawler for sure. I would definitely have a Jewel Pro Spider jig tied on. A lot of fish around brush piles up there. A lot of fish around brush piles. And I'd probably have a stick bait tied on. If you do run into the moss, I would throw a Spromic stick around those brush piles and then you wouldn't have to worry about the moss. And the fish will come out of the brush piles and eat it. Go up in the White River. White River, I was up there one day last week. And it's fishing pretty much like the mid-lake is, catching a lot of fish. Single swim bait, flatter points with rock on them, kind of a gravel rock mix. Early, anywhere from 5 to 10 feet deep once the sun gets up. Or if you don't have any wind, back out and keep your boat about 20 to 25 and you'll catch them from about 10 to about 15 foot deep. And these fish are suspended. I mean, you can see them on your live scope. They're down about 10 feet below the water's surface when they're out there. They get off the bank. Not really been scrubbing that thing that much. A little bit when it's sunny, but really most of the fish are suspended. Catching them on a rock crawler up there on those transition areas where it transitions from rock to gravel. Mostly on points again. You find a good transition point, you'll usually find quite a few fish on it. Catching them on a jig up there as well, around brush piles, around docks, that sort of thing. Definitely a key pattern up there is throwing a Jewel Pro Spider jig around those docks. And then, of course, A-rig is still hanging on up there. But again, I feel like the A-rig's going away. A lot of the guys I talk to who throw it a lot, I said they tell me they're still catching fish, but you know, they're not catching the big fish like you expect to catch on an A-rig. It seems like the big fish are coming on either a crankbait, a jig, or a stick bait right now. And again, the Spromic stick, Ghost Table Rock Shad's been the best color, but you can catch them on Blue Bandit, Norman Flake, all those other colors have been working up there on the stick bait. And the stick bait fish are just around some sort of cover, whether it be a brush pile or a tree. Those fish are hanging around cover. Guys, we're over halfway through March. We are approximately 3 weeks away from when we're going to see these fish start spawning. So they're moving up, and the bite seems to be getting better every day, but every once in a while God throws a monkey wrench in there and we get a funny front or something that comes through and knocks the fish back or slows them down. Looked at a lot of fish yesterday, but didn't get a lot of bites. So fish are up there. They're going to be feeding. They're going to be spawning soon. The bite's going to get much better soon. Best way to know when things really start kicking off. Again, join Table Rock Fishing Intel, become a pro member. Get those daily reports, weekly reports, tournament reports, all that information to help you find and catch more fish when you're on Table Rock. But if you are looking to hire a guide, give me a call. Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusedfishing.com. Shoot me an email, book online. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Take a minute to check out Table Rock Fishing Intel if you haven't done so. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.